amazing here at the Acropolis is that while we're up on top, the foundation here is different than what you might expect. Any of you who visited Atlanta, Georgia will know that there's a great big mountain there that's made almost entirely of granite. The foundation here at the Acropolis is made almost entirely of marble. It's a beautiful day. We're going to continue looking. So what we see here is one of the most famous monuments on the Acropolis. This is known as the Shack, built in the 4th century BC as a temple to Artemis. Originally built out of marble, the marble slab has been covered up by a sheetrock glaze and to protect the marble. What you see here is a window that was added on later in the 2nd century BC. The window is actually not made of glass. It is actually a fully transparent marble. Quite beautiful. Let's keep moving. So one of the really neat things here at the Acropolis, if you look up here to the left, is you'll see buttressing on the support structure for the wall. This is the retaining wall that makes this area so beautiful. And you'll see this kind of intricate rock work several places throughout this facility. It's a beautiful, beautiful show of architecture and know-how in the ancient Greeks. Let's keep moving. So here we see the Temple of Dionysus, also known as the Amphitheater of Dionysus. The Phantom of the Opera truly is here. Beautiful structure and in pretty good condition, being weathered over many, many centuries. A beautiful site as well, with a great overlooking view of Athens, and behind it, the backdrop, the wall of the Acropolis. Let's keep moving. So here in the Greek Museum, we find many pieces of great antiquity. We find pieces with parts of their bodies missing, parts of their faces missing. But what's truly amazing about the work to reproduce these pieces of art is the amount of plaster that is brought together to put up all these pieces to make them look like they are originally intended to look. Truly an amazing thing. We're going to keep moving through this museum. You're going to see a lot of cool stuff. What we have here is one of the columns inside the Parthenon Museum. And if you'll notice by looking up, the height in here approximates the height of the Parthenon. A very impressive height and structure, given that the Parthenon is made entirely of stone. Also, what we see here is a beautiful view of the Parthenon from inside the museum and the surrounding pediments and buttressing walls. What is amazing here is the simple vastness of the size of the Parthenon. And this approximates the length and depth of the Parthenon inside. We'll come back in a few minutes. We'll talk about a couple more things.
Well, we've seen the Acropolis. Today, we're going to Corinth. Get ready for a ride.
One thing truly amazing about the canal is that in ancient times, boats would actually just be lifted up on the ground, carried across using rollers, and carried all the way across this land bridge. Amazing that they were able to do that. And now the size of ships that are actually able to go through the canal, truly wondrous. You're going to love seeing this yourself. You must come here one day. So now we're in the museum here in Corinth. There are so many different pieces of art here. It's hard to know what to do. There's a piece of art out in the main gallery that shows the synagogue, an actual piece of the granite slab or the marble that was carved to show that there was a synagogue. Above it, you'll see a table that was used during a communion time for the early Christians in the 2nd century BC. This is very interesting because the way that some people view communion today is a lot different than possibly it was viewed in the past. Let's keep going. Maybe we'll find something else new in this great, wonderful city, Corinth. That's cool. So one of the things that Corinth is made most popular by is a specific type of column named after Corinth, the Corinthian column. And if you'll see, you'll notice 3 Corinthian type columns here at the end. Then you'll see an Ionic column, and then the basic Doric column. You'll see these all throughout the ancient world, not only in Greece, but also in Rome and other places in the ancient world. It's a beautiful example of the art and style and architecture of this area. Let's keep moving and see more of Corinth. So here you'll see a very simple example of a peg-style column. These were put down many years ago, and their main focus here was to protect and provide safety for the residents of the area. The peg-style column used also and made famous by Saint Bartholomew of the Simpsonian era. A very beautiful and decorative piece. And note the simple individual strands of metal. Just amazing. We're going to find a lot of other new and interesting things here in Corinth. Stay ready. We're going to get some good stuff. So in Corinth, we've seen a lot of fantastic things. In fact, the road that we're on right now is the road where Paul would have been dragged up by the Jews to be brought in front of the consul for this area. To this side, what we see is an actual toilet area that the Corinthians would have used, and this would have been a very standard thing in this type of an area. It's a little bit open, a little bit more open than most people would like it to be. Let's keep moving. Okay, and now we're here far above Corinth at what's called the Acropolis. Each of the cities in Greece have an area above the city, the highest point, and it's called the Acropolis. It's a very special place. I've got with me Chris Moore here. Chris Moore. Yassas. Chris Moore is from Greece. He knows all about this. Chris, tell us about the Acropolis.
I'd love to, Lonnie. Thank you for the opportunity. Today, friends, we are at Corinth, the place of all things Greek. Here is where the Corinthians of ancient Corinth would retreat to when the enemy was on the prowl. Right behind us, we have the Aegean Sea, so they would come by boat and with all their armor and weapons and want to take on the Corinthians. But the Corinthians were smart people, and so they retreated to the highest point, which is here, Corinth, in order to fight the enemy, and they would always be successful.
Wow, Chris. This is a great place. We're going to go in right now.
Let's go, let's go.
So now we've reached the entrance. We've gone past the first opening. It has a huge gap, so an invading army would have had to climb scaling walls. Now we're entering the actual walled city area of the Acrocorinth. This is where the main fight would have taken place if anyone ever did get to the Corinthians in this building. Let's go in. Well, it's a hike up to this point. I know I told you we were at the front gate. We weren't. Here's the front gate. It's enormous, imposing, 3 sides. If an army were to be able to get up to this point, they're exhausted, tired, and they've been bombarded by cannons from the upper wall. Okay, now we're going into the city. I know, it's unbelievable. Let me get my breath, then we'll move on. So we're inside the city. We found some chambers. We've also found some very intricate weaponry from in the past. I've got with me an expert, Shane Williams. He's from the U.S. He's on a team from there, but he knows a lot about weaponry. Shane, can you tell us about what you've seen here?
Yes, this would be an ancient cannonball maker. You can see they would pour the iron in there, and then when it was cool, they would use this to turn it and pull it out. Lonnie, if you move up here, there's some more interesting things.
Okay, let's check that out. We're on the move. The entire bottom of the Acropolis. This is a granite slab. What an amazing place.
No, it's marble slab.
I'm sorry, I said granite. It is a marble slab. Marble.
So what do you think about the ancient chariots behind you?
So what we see is an example of the larger ancient chariots. They had smaller ones that were, you know, about this size. These larger ones would house large and small people. However, if they were very large, they could only fit about 3 of the larger people on these. So when they had the smaller children, they could fit about 175 of them. They would usually just stack them one on top of another, but they're great. They do run on horse poop, which is different. We would not have expected that, and this is a new finding just recently.